I'll use the long voice. How about that? We're getting ready to get started, and Councilmember Moore is going to make some opening comments.
Yeah, so Coombs Council, it's informal. Ask questions. If we can answer, we will. If we can't, we'll get back to you. How's that? So, Emil knows how this works.
Will you start then? Right?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. My question is, it's not for or against, but Windy Gap.
Okay.
Okay. According to what you read in the paper, 5 members of the council voted for the 10,000 acre feet. 2 didn't. Now, according to the articles, city staff, which the council listens to almost all the time, and the water experts all agreed that the 6,000 acre feet would be more than enough to sustain Longmont at its maximum growth. So my question to you is, why did 5 members of the council increase it by 65%? Why did they do that? And if the resolution or the vote this fall for that 10,000 feet does not pass, is there a default?
All right. Some questions about Windy Gap and why did council opt in for the 10,000 acre feet of storage? And second part of the question is, what happens if the vote fails? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm one of the ones that supports the 10,000 acre feet, and there's several reasons why. And, one of them being the water board that I am council liaison has discussed this extensively, and they're also water experts, and they see a different perspective. They're actually not counting the water that we lease or having a contract with Excel at 3 to 5,000 acre feet. If you take that out of the equation, then we need to go to a higher level of participation. That being said, even projections about what growth will be are based on assumptions that have changed from 2001, where our build out was 102,000. 2017, our build out's 117,000. So that target moves, and we don't really know what we're going to need. It also adds redundancy to our water system. If we have another flood that takes out some of our infrastructure, we have to get water from another source. This is another source of water we already own, but we can't store it today. And the bottom line is, too, is the overall cost of storing our water now is significantly less expensive. The water we lease from, or have the arrangement with Excel, is part of the CBT, the Colorado Big Thompson project. That water costs us $40,000 an acre feet when we take it. If we build this storage at 10,000 acre feet, it's going to cost us $4,700 an acre foot to store water we already own. So there's a lot of, as Dale Rodemacher said, the same experts, or different experts can look at the same data and come to a different conclusion. And that's that's why I support it, as well as the majority of council. Now, the other side of that question is what happens if the vote fails. I think that depends on who's on council. We have an election this fall, and that whole thing can change, and we could end up with not enough water. If we flip that decision over to 6,000, in 50 years we could not have enough water, and we'd be buying water at the highest rates available in the market.
Well, but on that, Jeff, I mean, if it doesn't pass, does it automatically revert to 6,000?
No.
So if this doesn't pass, the people of Longmont in the future, there's nothing?
No.
Is there a time that you cannot get into
the rates would be even higher if we wait.
Is there a time frame that Longmont would be not allowed to get into Windy Gap or?
No.
Okay.
No, we've reserved 10,000 acre feet. We came down from 12,600 to 10,000. And so it's a matter of perspective on this. The downside of not having enough water is catastrophic. the upside of having too much water is, you know, it's a better situation to be in. And I really believe that if you throw climate change into the equation of where the snow falls is a big deal, because CBT and the Windy Gap project are on the western slope. Most of the snow falls on the western slope just due to weather conditions. Our native basin water rights are on the eastern slope, and so if the snow falls on the west slope and we don't get enough on the east slope, we could not have enough water coming from our own senior water rights. That being said, we also, with those native basin rights, we have to make sure that whatever we take, we have to provide a return flow. So if we take 1,000 acre feet, we have to return a certain amount of that into the river system. Windy Gap water, if we take it out of the Chimney Hollow Reservoir, we can use and reuse that water. So we can use it for potable water. We can pump it back into our Union Reservoir and take that for irrigation for our golf courses and public places too. So it's just a really good deal all around.
How much are our rates going to go up though? Oh my God, right now I'm paying $150 to $200 a month for water. How much are they going to go up?
The average consumer in Longmont will go up about $4. It was already going to go up $3 anyway before the rate.
On $150, it's only going to go up $3?
Well, I can't speak to your water bill. The water bill goes up. The increase only applies to the water consumed. Doesn't apply to the whole bill.
That's for water.
Not taxes or fees.
It doesn't include your fees or taxes or your electric rates.
That's just water.
Just water.
Just water.
I guess you have the option to use less water. That's the one thing about water rates is like you can always reduce your consumption.
Water is a finite element. We only get so much water. And I even think at the golf courses, they're wasting water for only a small portion of the population that goes on golf courses. Now, I'm radical. A little bit. But I agree that the higher the rates go, the more we'll think about how to use the water. Yeah.
So I'd like to sit down with you and go over your bill if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I got bills for the last couple of years.
Yeah, just
$200 a month, there's something.
well, we ought to talk about it because I think it's important to understand where this is coming from. You know, the portion of the water consumed, the number of gallons you use, is what the rate increase will apply to.
Question, if you're getting like 10,000 acre feet of storage, are we permitted, is the city permitted to sell the excess water to need, in any 1 year? You know, if all of a sudden Boulder is running dry or Berthoud is running dry, can we sell them water?
That's one of the things that can happen, but it can't be sold. It can only be leased on a short-term basis. Now, council can approve contracts for long-term water use, but there's really no appetite for that because we don't know what it's going to bring and what our needs are going to be. So we have intergovernmental agreements with different cities that allow us to interconnect if they have a water crisis. So we can provide water. It's agriculture is a good use of that and water, fresh water if we have it, as well as for municipal use when they have a water crisis. In the corner.
And there's a couple of seats over here, comfy seats. If that would be helpful.
Yeah, the question was about selling water. We can lease water on a short-term basis as a municipality. Our policies today are not to have any long-term contracts with water users. So if a municipality needs water to get through a crisis, we have intergovernmental agreements that allow us to interconnect to their systems so we can provide water for them until they get out of their situation. And we'd only do that if we have excess capacity.
I'm not sure about this, but I've heard that it's against the law to collect rainwater.
There's a new state law that allows you to have 2 rain barrels of 55 gallons.
So that's just a new law that you can now collect rainwater.
That's new this year.
Okay.
When is it? Do you need a ballot measure for this?
For the Windy Gap project?
Yeah.
Yes, it's on the ballot.
Okay.
It was approved, the language was approved, you will see it on your ballot this fall.
Okay. And what is your anticipation that it will pass?
You know, that's up to the voters. I think my position is if we don't do it, we are putting ourselves at risk 40 or 50 years down the road. This whole project started in 1970. It's taken this long to get to this point. This is how complicated water is in Colorado. If we figure out that we need to do that we don't do Windy Gap, we need to do another project, we're looking at 30 years to get to the point we're at today. This permitting, finding a location, buying the land, everything. And the big one is the federal permits because they've taken 15 years of that.
I didn't understand your comment about the average consumer price of water was $5 or $6. What does that based on? Is it per some amount? Is it a percentage?
Okay, the question is, what is it based on when I say $4 increase a month in your water bill? That's based on the average water bill for Longmont residents. So the average Longmont resident uses about $35 a month for water, and it's going to go up to 40. That's basically that's what it's based on. There's a chart in one of the council packets that shows the rate increases and what it's going to cost 10 years out. And that cost at 10 years out is still less than people in Lyons pay today.
Say that again?
The projected cost for Windy Gap at 10,000 acre feet is less per month per consumer than Lyons pays today for their water bill. So we're in a really good position, and we need to protect our water. We provide redundancy and resiliency for anything that might happen in the future.
So a good metric is $4 or $5 for $35.
Yeah, the rate increase is 13%. There was already a 9% rate increase programmed into our water rates for next year and the year after. So the impact for next year is 4% more than it would have been anyway, and the year after is 1% more. And then there's a rate increase every year after that. Yeah, Bob's our operations director, manager, whatever. And so he was just reminding me that there's going to be more information coming out on the pros and the cons of doing this project. So at this time, the city's put the language together. Now they're going to be coming out with these facts about rate increases as well as the downside of doing this. Pros and cons.
I mean, does the city council try to promote the system when it's on this particular issue? I would hope, because I mean, it sounds like we really should do this. Are you going to promote the pros specifically?
The city government can't do that now that it's been approved for the ballot, but the council members can give
I
their
can-
position.
We can take a position on it. We
Resolution.
won't take a position as a council because it is on the ballot. That would be promoting or not promoting that issue.
And how does that get promulgated? Like, how do you get that information out to?
There is, Councilmember Moore said, there's a lot of detailed information in the council packets. It's really hard to go through it in detail in this type of a venue. So for those who don't want to go back and read that, I would suggest that you read very carefully the information that will be put out to advertise the initiative for the ballot. Once again, it will be balanced, pros and cons, and it'll answer a lot of these questions as well. There are some pretty good summaries in the council packet, but it's, as you said, it's up to the voters. We're not here to promote it one way or the other.
Was there any thought to, instead of putting the price increase through as a percentage increase over the current water rates, instead just putting in a per head increase in fees?
Per head. It's a little hard to do because we haven't done population changes.
Yes, it's not going down.
No, it isn't. That's what I mean. But average family in Longmont, I think, is 2.3, 2.4 per household.
Yeah.
So, if you want to use that type of math, it'd definitely be pretty easy to put together.
Or even a per house, per household.
Yeah, I mean,
If it was per household and it was like $3 or $4, it'd be really simple. Everybody would sort of like, okay, I got that.
well, that's why it was based on the water bills, the average water bill.
Yeah.
And that would be associated with a piece of property or a household.
So there was a request to find out who's all in here. So over here, we talked about Bob. This is Bob Allen, and he's head of operations for Public Works and Natural Resources. And my name is Karen Roney, and I'm the Community Services Director for the city, and we're just providing support, and Councilmember Moore. So just wanted to, does that help, Elaine?
What happened to the mayor?
Well, we don't know yet. I tried to call him, so I don't know if there was a miscommunication.
The only thing I have is, are they considering the seniors and widows and widowers who are living in their homes, trying to maintain them in their yard and keeping Longmont pretty and looking good? Because I know I was away, and if I had watered my lawn, and I did, and when I got home, it was more than what you said per month, a lot more.
Well, yeah.
To keep that lawn looking great. Otherwise, we're going to see messy all over Longmont, Colorado yards. They're going to be dead. People can't afford to put the stone in. Fortunately, I did. We have a huge lot. My husband's deceased, and I'm trying to keep the property in great shape. But if we keep increasing all these things, I won't be able to because I'm on limited income.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of them who are trying to stay in their own homes.
that's a hard one, to tell you the truth.
Yes, it
That's one of
is.
the things that really weighs on me as a council member. The questions around, her water bill last month was higher than the $4.
Oh, it sure was.
I'll just have to qualify that a little bit. That's based on the average annual water bill.
And I wasn't even there taking showers or had children or anything. It was just watering my
So in the
lawn.
wintertime, your usage, it spikes probably in September. That's what mine does anyway. So during the summer, your water bill will go up more than that average, but they take it over the whole year. That's how that was calculated. There was something else, another point you wanted?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
any rate increase
because yards are.
weighs on every council member. Say it again, it's a hard decision. But that's part of our job, is to make sure that we sustain Longmont at the level it is today. And you mentioned to keep it looking good. Yes, we need to do that. That encourages people to want to be here. And it's hard decisions to make. So we understand that there are the people on fixed incomes, retirees, widows, people with limited means. It puts a burden on them. So, all I can say is that it really, I stress over those decisions. Yes.
This is a statement. I grew up born and raised in Denver. When I went up skiing as a teenager, the poles that they put up on 70, or they used to, the snow was, you couldn't find the poles. You were going through a tunnel. You don't see that today. We aren't getting the moisture. We live in a desert, and it's becoming more of a desert. And we're going to have to adjust to that fact that either we don't have quite the green lawns that we want, or we're going to be drinking water that is recycled. And that's what a lot of communities and cities are having to do. You are going to be drinking and showering in recycled water, because this is a desert. We don't get the snow, we don't get the rain. We used to have rain showers every afternoon. If you were in the mountains hiking, you found a place about 1 o'clock to seek shelter because it rained. That isn't anymore. And I don't know, we have a big yard. Our water bill is $34 during the summer. We have a big yard, but we use drip on a lot of things. Well, I've got drip irrigation.
So, Bob had a point he wanted to make too.
There were questions about the rates, the water rates going up. The basic, what we call kind of a lifeline rate for basic water use, which is what you would use in the winter months, that's still very low. That rate is low. That means everyone here can have water for their basic survival. But there's no doubt, for a lot of reasons, somewhat including the wind gap project, and many other reasons, it gets expensive as you're watering your lawn. So that's a more premium rate. So, and this is up and down the front ranges. There's a premium on owning and watering the lawn now that's going to probably continue to go up. More because of regulatory changes for water treatment and the cost of construction for projects, all type will continue to drive that rate. So I know you said it's hard to have the money to convert your lawn to something else, and maybe that's something.
But I did. At least more than half.
Yeah.
A huge, as big as this room, in the backyard.
That
Because
may
it was
be,
in a corner.
that type of conversion may be the future of maybe even some affordability programs that the water utility could look at if people really want to start converting lawns. That would be similar to what we've done with low flush toilets.
Right.
That's something that's been done in Las Vegas, for example,
Yes.
where the city's actually financially supported removing green lawn. So that's, at some point, that's something that could definitely be looked at. That's good. Yes.
Well, I bike around a lot, and I see a lot of HOA like neighborhoods who are watering the sidewalks instead of natural green around it. So it's a little disturbing to me. I don't know. There's a big water issue there too. They're just not being conscious of how they're using their water.
We do enforce that for code enforcement.
Yeah. So
Can you repeat
the questions around why aren't we taking care of, or why aren't we dealing with watering the sidewalk where nothing really grows anyway? Right? Those where nothing really. Why are we watering concrete?
Yes.
Or watering when it's raining.
We're watering
Exactly.
All right, I can speak to our HOA. We just completed a city is sponsored efficiency study that we get help from the city on doing. And we're putting into our budget next year improvements in our irrigation system to address those type of concerns, be more efficient at it. They found things like we had the wrong heads in places, we had too much pressure. We need to do some maintenance on it to put it back to where it needs to be. And I mean, it's a little over 20 years old, so it's time to do something. If every HOA can do that, to help alleviate that. And part of it for our HOAs is we have some sloped areas, and water is not absorbed very well into our soil types.
That's right.
So we're also updating our controller so we can water shorter periods more times. So those are the things that our HOA is doing. If we could, maybe that would be something we could put a story out on, our water decrease, we could put it out on, say, we decreased our water consumption by doing this. And other HOAs could look at doing that too.
And I think if you see that happening, as you might not have heard, Bob, that we do want to know that. So if you would contact our code enforcement, and you would find that information on our city website. We would want to know that so then our staff can follow up. Okay. Yeah, the city would want to know that.
If you see anything like that, call us at 303-651-8416. That's the department's call center. 651-8416. And I don't have a line for code.
That's okay, but that's
They will get you a
public
code
works
if you
line.
call that number.
Right.
So it's, yeah.
I live in Old Town, and we don't have an HOA, but we have a lot of trees that really cool off the neighborhood and cool off town. I think, unfortunately, some people are xeriscaping, actually even out in the city right of way, where a lot of the trees are next to the streets, and the trees are dying. And I think in addition to maybe offering xeriscaping incentives, one thing the city needs to do is also educate the advantage of water, even though it might seem wasteful in a sense, but if we water lawns, keep the area cool, reduce our heating bills, reduce our air conditioning bills, and trees do the same, and they help keep the air heating. And I think one thing we have to do, if we're going to be doing this kind of thing, is educate also the advantages of water, not just the xeriscape, because I do see trees dying in Old Town, which is that's, one of the nice things about Old Town, it's just beautiful, leafy green, and we're losing such a thing.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, efficient use of water is one thing. You can, if you're efficient with it, you can control your costs as well as have your nice lawn if that's what you choose to do. So, I mean, there's different ways to get to the same end result, I believe. So,
I love the topic of water, but I have a question with regards to how the services of the city respond and neighbors' responsibility to be responsive for our community. In particular, like Neighborhood Watch. Neighborhood Watch seems like it needs an overhaul because I think it doesn't mean anything anymore. You can see the signs up there, but there's nothing, there's no meat behind it. We live right across the street from Collier Park. What happens often for us is that we'll see, like yesterday, we'd walk our dog twice a day around the park, and there's dirty blankets under juniper trees where people have camped and decided to leave their stuff. There's a lot of just new, younger transients in town, and that's okay, but there's a disrespect about the park and how to treat people. So when I call the non-emergency number, I get patched through to dispatch, so now it becomes kind of elevated again, and it's like, look, there's all of this junk and trash and stuff, cards at the park. Can you do something about it? No. Call Public Works. So I think we're kind of going into your neighborhood. So now it's like, is it a parks issue? Is it a trash issue? And whatever it is, it's like, well, we'll write a ticket up for it. Well, the police don't do that. So it's like there's a gap. And it seems like the gap needs to be filled with the citizens. And it made me think of the old Guardian Angels group, the Red Berets that would take interest in the neighborhood. And I know that was kind of problematic, but still there was a presence there. And because of the mental health issues of some of the homelessness, it's kind of unnerving for me to want to go up by myself and confront issues that need to be confronted. But if I had like 2 or 3 Red Berets, so to speak, walking around with me. So my question is that there seems to be a gap. or something that the city can't provide, but maybe the citizens can step up and in to provide. And I'm wondering if it's a revamping of Neighborhood Watch, or if we just need to spearhead a new group like the Guardian Angels, so that we can deal with issues that are seemingly more prevalent these days.
Yeah, I think that you hit on a difficult issue, transients and homelessness. We will have an update on the plan for Boulder County as a whole at the end of September. There's a get together for electives and city management to discuss what their findings are and what their proposed solutions are for the homeless issue. And you hit on something else, mental health. But one of the things as a city we'd like to try to get going is more citizen involvement in solving some of these issues. That's been something that's been discussed at a council retreat last spring. And getting that going, I don't think we've hit on a solution to get that going. Karen that's kind of her neck of the woods. And I just would think that there's not a council member that doesn't want to do something about it. What do we do? And how do we do it? And if we decide to spend money on it, how do we pay for it?
So in you're part of the Historic Beachside Neighborhood Association and is involved with our Neighborhood Leader program. So I would say that we just continue to bring that up to our neighborhood resources staff. As Councilmember Moore said, we are launching through actually a partnership with public safety and community neighborhood resources, an effort that we're going to be reaching out and doing more walkabouts and connections with the neighborhood around issues of concern and how do we pull together to address some of those issues. Certainly, the issue of folks who are homeless and don't have any place, they don't have stable housing. It is a citywide effort that we are working on, right now in terms of, how are we really reaching out, particularly in the downtown area. Colony Park is part of that. So to really, how do we have more eyes and ears and people out there talking with folks and trying to get them hooked up with services. So my suggestion would be is that we would be glad to come out and talk to your, your neighborhood group, or maybe make that as part of the next. The neighborhood watch, I think that has really been kind of debunked. I don't think that that's something that has been part of the police department. But I've made a note that there is some interest in maybe resurrecting that, having really resurrecting that program.
Your area has a neighborhood group, right? Historic East Side group. We're also encouraging other neighborhoods that don't have groups to form their own groups to become part of the NGLA, the Neighborhood Group Leaders Association, so that we can help hear about these issues. There's also resources provided by the city for things like, some of the things, I know they funded a bench, a sitting areas, some landscaping in our neighborhood. So you can get some funding to help beautify your neighborhood and fix things up. But having that group is very important, because then you have common interest and you can get together with other neighborhoods with similar interests and you can talk about this stuff and deliver solutions.
And I think the problem is the talking about this stuff. And it's like, I think that, there's focus committees and subcommittees and and all of these things, and you get on and it's more like we're just having these conversations, and it's like the response time, we're not turning the Titanic, we've just got a little ship to turn in the water, and it seems like there could be action taken today, and it's like I'm kind of tired personally of waiting for solutions, and I'm about to get out into Nextdoor and launch my own effort to create either revamping the neighborhood watch or starting a green, you know, the red beret kind of guardian angel kind of a thing. I mean, I'll go solicit something else so that something can start getting done now instead of something being talked about for the next year or so before we make a suggestion. So
Well,
just
that's
to
where the
let you
Neighborhood
know.
Group Leaders Association meetings, they're on the third of the month, they're up at the senior center.
Right.
This is an opportunity to bring up those ideas and have a discussion with a larger group. We all have the same concerns. They may not have the same issues you have of transients in your neighborhood, but they're concerned about that as well. They would be. I think we have some common ground here, and I think that's a good way to get along.
So
And a
two
question
points.
here, and then a question.
And I just want to indicate that, that we hired this year 2 campus supervisors that basically are trained and they are walking about in the Roosevelt area. We do have them slated to be walking about in the Collier Park area and the downtown area to really help to be eyes and ears and intervene in some of the things we're talking about. So there's some action, but there's more to come. So I'm getting out of here.
All right, I have a question here, and then
Just a quick statement, I also live on Collier Park, and we often do not feel safe where we live because of the same issues he's talking about. And it's anything from fights that occur quite often, just beyond our limits, to finding people sleeping in our yard in the morning, to drug paraphernalia in our yard. When I call the police, it seems like they don't do enough. And they say, talk to council and have them change the rules. And it's time to do that.
what I don't know
They
what.
say they're limited in their response.
So, same situation. This gentleman lives near Collier Park, finds drug paraphernalia, people sleeping in his yard. It's a big issue.
Fighting,
drunkenness.
So I've been having this idea about how to start a Keep Longmont Beautiful. And I actually talked to the head of Keep America Beautiful, and she said there are 2 ways you could go about it. You could make a nonprofit, or you could be part of the city council and have it be a city government, which you would be an affiliate. So I have all that information, and I'm really willing to head it. And we need to join forces to do something about it. But what they advocate is behavior change and education on how to not pollute and how to respect your environment, how to respect your space and yourself. And with the homeless issue, there are many countries who are successful at having a very low homeless rate by actually housing the homeless in abandoned buildings and stuff like that. So I have all this information if you want to talk further, but I've been doing a lot of research on how to fix this problem because I'm tired of talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on a point of getting citizen involvement. And that's the same thing, right?
Right.
And I think we just need. I'd like to sit down and talk to you about it.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to sit down and talk to you about it.
Okay, cool. I have this whole presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do here and then there.
Okay. The City of Longmont mission statement. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life of those who live in, work in, or visit our community. Now, you covered a lot of really important issues here today, but the one I wanted to address was the fact that I've been trying for over 18 months to get somebody in the city to look into bringing the antique carousel that the people own in Fort Collins, and they want to find a home for it. And I felt that that would enhance the quality of life for Longmont, as well as bring visitors in to help the commercial areas. And I've gone to the open forum and the Times Call. I've given packets to the council.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And now I understand that one of the assistant city managers has been assigned the task of exploring this finally, after I had rejection from the Chamber of Commerce, rejection from the Tourist Board, and no comments from the City Council.
The City Council put it out to the city, was assistant city manager.
Right. But
Peter Sands.
I guess what I'm here for, I want to share with you the response, and if you'll get from the mayor, please.
All right.
And I would really think that many of the citizens of the Longmont would really benefit from this enhancement to our community. And I've been pounding this drum all by myself. I don't have a group of support behind me, which I should have, according to a staff at the museum. It said the way they get the tennis court in, when they had a community, a group that was asking this. Well, I haven't had a group, but I've worked awful hard.
So, everybody hear that? I don't know, this is about getting the antique carousel into Longmont. Been working on it for a year and a half. Excuse me. So, we're looking into the potential, if we can even do it, basically. So, that's where, I'll pass this on to the mayor.
Very good, thank you.
Over here.
I have a question about quiet zones in the city.
Yeah.
So, I know a couple of years ago, the Transportation Committee recommended to council that you
Speak up a little bit, please.
Yeah, okay, I'll try again. My question is about quiet zones in the city, for where the trains pass through the city. And a couple of years ago, the Transportation Committee recommended to council that you begin funding the quiet zones. I know that since then there's been an initiative to seek some grants for quiet zones. For instance, Windsor was able to get grants and develop quiet zones. So as the city budget is being prepared, are you advocating for funding quiet zones in the next budget?
Well, questions around quiet zones, and are we going to be moving forward with putting some in, right?
Yes.
So the first quiet zone that we're going to be doing is there at First in Emory, and it's in association with that new apartment complex there. The city's going to pay half, the developer's going to pay half. Now, that's a difficult one because it's going to be really expensive because of the way the layout is. It's going to be more expensive than it would be to do something up on a residential area. But we have a proposal or ready to go in to secure funding to continue to build the quiet zone. I know it's been a 50, 100-year problem, and it wasn't as big a problem, I guess, until they changed the rules of the train horn, how you have to use it. So basically, it'll start it when they cross 3rd until they get all the way out of town. It's just basically a continuous horn blow.
Well, it has to be to protect the engineer. My father was an engineer, and people on the railroad, those railroads were built many, many years ago before all this other development around it. And it has to protect the railroad system because people are trying to beat the tracks.
Yeah.
There's 24-hour work programs for people today to make their living. And so I myself think this is an issue of a lot of wasted time. Those tracks have been here for years, and it does have to protect the railroad system.
And I agree we have to protect the system, but at the same time there are solutions to not have to do those train horns due to a rule change. The federal government controls that, and if we provide the proper protections,
They know they're there then.
we don't have to close the train horns. And that's something that's on the radar.
The question is, the city has already, I mean, you know this, that the studies have been done, and the cost estimates have done for the whole system. And my understanding about the alternative plan is that the developer is pulling out of that project, so if you're supposed to pay half of that quiet zone, that's not going to happen if they're pulling out of that project.
They're not pulling out of the project.
They're not pulling out?
Not yet. They're starting grade work now, and they're putting in what they call the horizontal infrastructure before they go vertical. They're required to go vertical by December 31st.
Okay. And so what about the rest of the quiet zones along in this plan? Is there any plan to fund these?
Well, I proposed using half of the marijuana tax to fund those. And this time, that's going to be a budget issue for councils moving forward.
But you're doing, every year when we come to council, you guys say it's a budget issue. Of course it is, because you have to budget for it. But you're doing the budget now. So my question is, are you, my councilman in Ward 2, who's running for re-election, are you supporting putting it in the budget?
Into this budget?
Yes.
If there's funding available, yes.
Wait a
minute. There are things that already are.
Because every year you guys say, well, there's not money available. Now, there's a lot.
I proposed a solution to pass the marijuana tax. There's new revenue available.
Yeah, okay, and what happened to your proposal?
It wasn't really like that.
Can you bring it up again? Are you pushing it? Are you looking for?
It's not going to be on the ballot. It could go into a future budget. So re-elect me and I'll push it into that.
Well,
I think if I
can I just say one thing though? But when you say like it's a question of whether it's going to be in the budget, well, everything is. We know that there are more things on the table that can be put in the budget every year. So if every year council says, "Well, there's just not room in the budget," that's just not addressing the issue. Of course, you have to make decisions. These are hard decisions. But tell us if you're really trying hard to put it in the budget. But when you just say to me like, well, if there's room in the budget, frankly, as a constituent, I feel like you would blow it again.
Let me follow up on that. I believe your name's Karen?
Yeah.
Say one quick thing. I've been working with the city manager a bunch on this train issue, and that we're spending a gazillion bucks on this one intersection, and it's a great start, and I'm glad the city's committed to that. But it's worthless until we get at least a quarter-mile section of train tracks that is intersection-free or with other quiet zones. So it's an investment, but it's going to do nothing for the city until we invest in the rest of the intersections now.
Yeah.
And we have 2 grants that we are applying for, I understand. One, we lost out to another grant that the city applied for last year. We're going to try again, but it's going to do a fraction of what we need. The other one is a Tiger grant, and that's, for some reason, they have to decide funding by October, but the grant application isn't accepted yet until almost September. So I'm very concerned about this, and I think the city needs to make a plan B, to find alternatives. If it doesn't go through, and even if it goes through, if we don't have enough funding, we have to make some kind of plan for plan B to get funding for the rest of those intersections. Otherwise, the money's wasted. The $1 million+ we're putting into that first memory is totally wasted.
Well, it's got to start somewhere. And there's an opportunity to not pay for the whole thing. That's really, I think, that's the advantage we have there. I have had very limited discussion with the city manager about the quiet zones. Mostly because my suggestion that we dedicate part of the tax to that would have been a source of funding, but it would have still taken a long time to build them. But I think moving forward, we need to make that a consideration. To your point, we keep talking about it, we don't do anything. All right, good point taken.
I mean, what I hear is when I ask if you're going to put it in the budget, you say, well, if there's money. What I'm really asking is this a priority or isn't it? When council members just say, well, I don't think we have money, or if there's money, it's a blow-off. Nobody's really coming up and saying like, yes, we're committed to this, or no, I think we have other priorities. Actually, I think what they're saying every year is I think we have other priorities. We're not committed.
I hear your point.
Question.
Could you briefly describe what quiet zones will be, what it means?
Well, quiet zones are protected crossings so that cars can't go around the gates, for one thing. There's lights, gates. There's different ways of doing it now, but it still takes you have to cut the cost of construction. You have to do things like long medians that run away from the intersection so that cars can't get around the gates, and the gates have to be double locked on both sides. to keep people off the tracks while the train's coming. At the end of the day, it's protection of the intersection so that there's no car or train crashes.
So that
They don't have to blow the
horn.
That way, when you have that infrastructure in place, the operator of the train does not have to blow the horn. And there's a lot of rules around that. And even if you build it, you still have to get permission from the FRA. You can build all this stuff with the FRA and say, nah, we're not going to let you do it. So I'm not advocating that we don't do it. What I'm saying is that we have to do it well. We have to be involved with the federal government. We have to let them know what we're doing. We have to have everything in place so that when the gates go down, we can keep the train noise, the horns from blowing.
Is there any value in citizens lobbying Representative Kim Buck to change the federal law? I mean, we could be doing that in the meantime. No, I know, it's sort of like a Don Quixote, but, we can do our part in lobbying our federal representatives.
Cory Gardner has been very interested in that, and actually they brought the head of the Federal Railroad Administration out here to the Front Range, and they toured Loveland and Fort Collins. And Fort Collins is a bigger problem than we do even. And they came out and they looked and said, thank you, we'll consider it. But they really did not sound interested. And they went home and said, well, we'll look at it, but there's no deadline to look at it, and they haven't said anything for a year and a half.
Well, we have to just keep at it, that's my point.
Right, but I mean, that's control.
Yes.
So I don't know how many of you were here during the 2013 flood. Okay, the first thing they repaired were the train tracks because that's how we move stuff around in this country. So train tracks and trains are vital to the continuing thrival of this country. There's leverage in that. They're coming through our town. They should have a choice. We have some leverage to say, you can build a railroad track down somewhere else where people aren't living, or you can come in and take a look at these quiet zones and become part of the solution so that we can live with the trains and you can continue to do business.
Well,
It's not just at the mercy of the trains and fighting this big fight, pushing an elephant up the stairs with this. They have a vested interest in keeping these trains moving.
And we built around the trains.
We did.
So my perspective on dealing with the railroad is very difficult.
Yeah?
Because the hierarchy in my mind, this is kind of flip it, but there's the railroads, there's God, and then there's everybody else.
Well, we have trains running through right past Collier Park with toxic chemicals next to a school, next to a park, in a historic neighborhood.
They built up around them. They built up around them. They knew those tracks were there. They knew those tracks were there.
That point's been made.
Don't the railroads own the tracks?
Okay, changing the subject. A year ago, I believe, that was wrong, the taxpayer of Longmont.
That really disturbed my husband.
Bail
The
out,
man went around and he was blowing up
the village,
He had
because they were short on sales tax. I think
He,
it was $500,000.
that horn was going.
Because the sales tax was coming in. And is that money going to be paid back to the city, and is the village at the Peaks now in the black?
Everything. And when you're raising 10
So
children.
questions about Village of the Peaks and how we had to pay the bond payment on the first year, and the tax collection was low, and we had to make an adjustment. The money that he's talking about came from the funds that were generated at the Village of the Peaks. It's just that the city didn't get that piece of revenue for that first year. Current projections are the payments for the COPs will be made in full from the expected revenue from the Village of the Peaks. That's the projection we have right now. We had the Walmart store open up, we had Whole Foods open up this year. We didn't have those two big revenue producers last year. Village of the Peaks is performing. I think you had something.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I didn't.
You did?
What's
going on?
Yeah, okay. About the railroad, quiet zone, those railroad signs have been down. Yeah. It goes around. Yeah, so don't complain about the flow.
They own this property, right?
Moved in
Yeah.
next to an airport, and the first thing they're doing, it's too much money. You know, it's kind of like, you didn't know that.
Can I comment on that, please? So, it's a common misconception.
Yes.
The trains have always been there, yes.
Yeah.
But the train noise has not. About 13 years ago, the federal regulations changed the volume of the train noise and the duration of the train noise. I've lived in Old Town for 20-some years. It was not a problem when I bought my house. I've been fixing up my house. I've been fixing up Old Town. And now the train is so loud, I really think about moving all the time. Because the train got worse after we moved there. But the train is still there, and I'm not saying we have to move the train over, that would be ideal, to get the toxic stuff out of there. But the noise can be fixed, and the noise is new after I moved it.
All you need is to have the torn stop, and a school bus goes through it.
That's why we need a quiet zone.
That's what the quiet
That's
zone.
what the quiet zone does. It makes it safe, you can go through without the noise. There is a solution. We just have to have the backbone and reach into the wallet and fix it.
All right, do I have a question?
Can I change the subject?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just be quiet.
I'm a bicyclist, and I'm just wondering when the freeway system is running things, and I particularly remember going on Longmont when that's likely to be restored to what it was before the floods. And is this project under Martin Street ever going to be finished, or is this going to leave it torn up and the way it is right now? I don't see much progress.
You're talking about Dickens Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's under construction. Okay.
Well, it's been under construction for a long time.
Bicycle trails, when are we gonna fix? And are we ever gonna finish that mess at Martin? What's the Dickens Park, it's a nature area, I believe, is what they're classified as. So it's funded, it will be constructed in the next year or so. They've already started to work because they had that big pile of dirt.
Right.
Well, they're going to put that big pile of dirt into the pond and have a smaller pond, so that they had to have a place to put the dirt. Right? So that's what you see going on right now.
But where I live, until they get that done, I don't have access to much.
Yeah, and you know, after the flood, there was even more people in that situation. We are working on restoring the trails, working down the Sandstone Ranch streets, we call it now. We're moving up the river. We have the Main Street Bridge done, so that small piece of connection should be helped. But that piece from Main Street to county line is still under work, and it's going to be restored. I don't have the timetable.
Yeah, I mean, a response to that. So that project took a long time to pull together all the different funding sources to do. Secondly, that's one of the most unprecedented projects you'll see in the U.S. right now. The level of work that's allowed to be done in that area, because it's also a habitat area, requires a lot of extensive and careful moving of the river as they work around it. So a project like that takes 2 or 3 times easily what a normal, just earth-moving construction project takes. I share your frustration though as a cyclist. I miss being able to go all the way to Sandstone Ranch. I do think we'll be restoring some of that trail, not all the way out to Sandstone. Part of that here very soon.
What is the last obstacle to Sandstone? Is it a bridge? Right at Sandstone?
Well, there's also damage to the river that's still part of a reach that needs to be repaired, similar to the one that we're working now around Martin. So there's a lot of in-channel work going that direction.
Yeah, our parks and trail systems are one of the most important things for people to live here. So it's something that we need to fix, and we need to fix it within the time frame that we can still receive the FEMA dollar. If we don't do it now, we're going to lose that funding, and then so I mean there is a timetable. One more question.
Oh, and so I was consumers and, there's
Well,
a lot of different.
The internet.
Yeah, the internet's a big part of that, and those stores decide, why don't we have any clothing stores? Clothing stores.
It's just a big food court.
Well, those entities have chosen not to locate there. I do know there are I think there's two stores going in on Main Street. I think the Icelandic Design Building, and there's going to be both. I think they're both women's clothing stores. Two different markets, two different target audiences. So that should be coming together soon.
My neighborhood is going to be moving in just next door to the Roost, just so that would be a sign, high-end sign. Sorry? Ivy Rose is moving in about 3 doors south of the Roost. That's going to be a high-end clothing, women's consignment clothing, based on what their sign is on the front. So there's one.
And I think that the internet has really taken a lot of that business. And you have places like Macy's and JCPenney, they're just getting eaten alive by Amazon. So anyway, that was the last question. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. It was a great conversation. Great conversation.